After a long bout of finals and pneumonia, I have decided to hop back on here to show you guys what I got today in terms of vinyl. It's 4 albums, and I am very, very happy about what I got and the price I got them at. Um, they're all very, mainstream. You'll recognize them. There's no head scratchers in here, which is probably why I'm so excited for, like, the reason I got them so cheap. But enough of that. Let me just get right into it. So, if you have been part of this channel since I first started up with my first video, my luckiest vinyl story, you'll know what I'm talking about. But if you're not familiar, so I usually get my records from this bookstore near my house. It's like a secondhand bookstore, and they have a record section. And in this record section, there is a shelf below the main records, and there's like $2-3 clearance vinyl, which you'll usually you won't find anything good in. But I do have a history of like coming across gems here and there. And my first video was mainly about how I just completely robbed the place, like completely. I should have been Interpol should have been on my ass. But today, after a long drought of not like finding anything there, I struck gold again. I struck gold. And I think I'm on a list at this point because you're going to look at some of these and you're going to be like, how was that $2? I'm going to stop hyping it up before you're disappointed before I even show them. So, first thing I noticed when I start looking down there today and I start looking at the titles is I noticed a lot of 80s movie soundtracks in really good condition. And the one that I decided to pick up for $2 is the Breakfast Club soundtrack. Flip this over for you. I haven't seen the Breakfast Club in I think a couple of years now. I do really like it. I think I have it on DVD, and I do like the soundtrack. This is like the quintessential '80s high school movie. John Hughes, Molly Ringwald. I mean, it's just kind of this is what all you need in terms of the '80s. And it also is all you need in terms of 80s music because of the song Don't You Forget About Me by Simple Minds, which is kind of like the 80s anthem, at least for my generation. Like whenever you go on social media and you see like people my age talking about the 80s, you're going to hear that song, the Don't You Forget About Me song. And that is on here. So tuba, and you'll notice again, pretty nifty condition. Record, it's got some, it's not perfect, but again, clearance. I'm grateful to get it for $2. So that was my first score, but it doesn't end there. So I start looking through the titles, and the thing about this specific instance is that, I mean, compared to my first video, my luckiest vinyl story, all of the records that I found that were really good, like the Rolling Stones, the Who, what else was there? Jimi Hendrix, Beatles. They were all mainly in the same section of like the clearance shelf, meaning I didn't have to do much looking. It was like when you strike gold and you have like that massive cluster, right? This was a time where I really had to like flip through titles because again, it's a clearance section in a used bookstore. It's it's the equivalent of an arts and crafts show. It's like you're digging through like cardboard and like paper because all this stuff is like torn up because most of it's in pretty bad shape. However, once I start going through and I start looking at the individual titles instead of looking for them in groups, that's when I start hitting upon stuff. So the main one I see once I start doing that is the Eagles' Greatest Hits. This is their first Greatest Hits album. I believe this is one of actually the biggest selling albums. Sorry, I just had a whole Texas Roadhouse steak meal and I'm like about to burst, but I couldn't help myself and get on here because I'm so excited. I believe this is one of the best-selling albums of all time, like hundreds of millions of copies sold, which I was actually surprised when I found out that it was this in Hotel California. Say what you want about the Eagles. I think this is a fine album to have in your collection, especially for $3. I mean, this isn't hurting anybody. Unlike the copy of Hotel California that I saw there that was going for $40. That would have hurt somebody, so there's a big difference. There's Take It Easy, Witchy Woman, Tequila Sunrise, One of These Nights. I do like the guitar on that song. So again, not, this is what I was talking about. Like, you have like this cardboard flying everywhere. But, got the record in there. Not terrible. Right. Okay, those two aside, now here's where we get into the good stuff. And again, this is like halfway through because it's like 4 records, but that aside, I noticed something in the corner of my eye, and I didn't even turn fully to look at it because I think I read it in the corner of my eye, and I immediately grabbed it. Like, I didn't even turn around. I was like that kind of stuff. I genuinely cannot believe what I was seeing. It was The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd in the clearance section. I do have this album. Again, if you've seen, you don't even have to watch all my videos to know I do have this. I think I have a whole video on it, but I was stoked about this. This is from, again, old pressing. It's not the rare like full blue triangle, but it's one of the first. It's an old. It's seen some days. For the record, pun intended, it was $4 instead of the usual $2, but I was just happy to find this. This is something I might hang up, frame. I don't know. I'll figure out something to do with this, but I really wanted this, and when I want something, I usually get it. So that's how it works. This is what I read. I saw this in the corner of my eye. Yeah. So I pick up those 3, and again, this clearance section of the record section, the section within a section, it's on, like, you have the main records, right, that you walk in, you flip through. Then on that same, like, it's, I don't know what you call it, but below it is a shelf where the clearance records are. Meaning, in order to look at the clearance records, you have to get down on your knees. So I did that, and again, this is like hard floor. So I'm on there. I mean, to be completely honest with you, I really make sure that like nobody I know is around when I do this, because I am constantly, let me just drop this a few levels so you can get a sense of what I'm talking about here. I swear to God, like, this on hard floor, like, it hurts after a little while. So eventually I'm like, okay, I think it's about time for me to get up, because my knees genuinely feel like they are about to just kind of deteriorate. Like, I was getting down to bone at this point. I mean, I was wearing pants, but it was still, it's hurt. It's hard floor. And I'm about to get up, and again, you know how I said that you have to look at the individual titles in this instance to find the gold? Well, that's exactly what I did this whole time, but I kind of stopped towards the end just because I was so focused on my knees that were hurting exceptionally at this point. So I start to get up, about to leave and get the 3 records I already got. And then the corner of my eye, again, this is where that peripheral vision comes in. I read a name sticking out from the titles. And I turn towards the name catches my attention. Then I read the title. Then I pull it out and I look at the condition of the record. It is absolutely mint. You can breathe now. Johnny Cash is at Folsom Prison. Again, you're probably looking at this like, okay, well, that's kind of beat up. Ignore that. Here. That's the good side. Yeah, that's what I saw. Oh, $2. I took the tag off to here. $2. I took that off to use at another record. I'm joking. But yeah, this was, because I think I was looking for this album. Like, this is on my list, because I love Johnny Cash, and I especially admire this performance ever since I saw it on Walk the Line. But you know, I really have a lot of respect for this occasion, this event, this album, and to find it for $2 right when I was about to get up and leave, that was pretty cool. I think I'm confused which one I'm more excited about, this or the old Dark Side copy. Wow. Yeah, you should have seen me. I'm still like on my knees at this point because I completely forget about the absolutely scathing pain in my knees, and I'm just like looking at it. I mean, if you were to walk into the store at this point and see me, you'd probably laugh. And to be completely honest, I wouldn't even blame you because I just look like a goof. But it was so worth it because I got this. And again, the cover, it's got the ringwear and everything, but it's really not like it's not falling out here. It's actually not terrible. So that's how I capped that off. So grand total, it was about $11. Not a bad day, I'll tell you that for a fact. Just real quick before my phone runs out of storage. Again, it has been a good couple of months since I've gotten on here and showed you guys my hauls. So here's just a brief overview of some stuff I've gotten since I have last posted. So here's Bruce Springsteen's Nebraska. I haven't really heard the rest of this album other than Atlantic City, but I love Atlantic City so much that I got it just for that. So that's how much I love that song. Here's The Best of the Animals. This was a clearance one, $2. This is all you really need for the Animals, because they have like, what, 2 albums? Eddie Money, self-titled. This one has his hits on it. This one's cool. Supertramp, Crime of the Century. This was a clearance find. Really good condition too. Manly. This is the Moody Blues, In Search of the Lost Chord. My friend, his older brother, is also really into collecting records, and I took a peek at his record collection, and he had a lot of Moody Blues. And at first I thought, because their records are usually cheap, but I started listening to some of their music, and I actually kind of liked it, and it was mainly coming from this album. And I opened the album up, and I just thought this was really cool. So, grab that. Some Frank Sinatra going on. Here's the best. I mainly got this because of Come Dance With Me. I have a video somewhere that my friend recorded of me, like, kind of singing that full volume while the cars roll by. It was really cinematic. Really, just, I love that song. And My Way, which I got for the title track, which I'm sure we've all heard. And last one, this was a clearance find too. Jim Croce, You Don't Mess Around with Jim. I was one of the ones that heard this from Stranger Things, but I listened to the rest, and I really was happy to find this for, how much was this? $2. Moral of the story, check the clearance section. See ya.